Welcome to the Core Women Podcast, the place for women entrepreneurs, authors, and self-starters looking to build community and gain valuable insight through expert interviews with women at the top of their game. Join your host, podcaster, producer, expert coach, entrepreneur, and author, Dr. Summer Watson, as she aims to inspire and empower you through these candid conversations. Lean in and embrace the journey. It's time to start the show. Here's your host, Dr. Summer Watson.
Today on the show, I'd like to welcome Veronica Cline Barton. Veronica started her journey by getting her graduate degrees in engineering and business and has held successful careers in the software and technology industries. And her career progressed, and as time went on, Veronica developed a lifelong love affair with British murder mysteries. This inspired her to embark on a literary career. She loves all things glam, travel, royals, theater, fashion, food, and divine cocktails. At age 60, Veronica published her first book. We have so much to talk about here, Veronica, so let's just jump right into this and welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Summer. I just really appreciate you having me as your guest today.
Absolutely. I am excited for you to be here. So before we jump into that 2.0, that next stage, tell us a bit about where you grew up and one life lesson that might have influenced who you are today.
Well, I actually am a Kentucky girl. So I grew up in Louisville. So swallow your tongue. But went through engineering school there at University of Louisville at Speed School. And once I graduated, I started traveling, moved to Ohio for a bit, but then I moved to California in the late 80s, and I have become a California girl. So it's just been a cross-country move that I was like one of the first kids to move out, and move away from the nest and stuff. But for me, it was a great decision. I mean, it's hard, as any of us know, with family that, don't live close by. It's challenging at times and you miss a lot for sure. But for me, it was the best career decision. And I think that the thing that really drove me to go after my degrees and what have you, I had a very encouraging grandmother that worked and lived through the Depression and was just always an example to us to really keep stretching your boundaries, and you can go through, extremely tough times, et cetera, but just keep that spark alive and, make it happen. And luckily I had a woman in my life like that encouraged me and my sister, and, we both made it happen each of our own ways. So
that is terrific to hear. A woman who encourages her granddaughters and where they are able to then blossom and find their way in the world. That is fabulous.
Yep.
So you had a very technical professional journey in engineering and business. How did you actually make the jump to author?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been a lifelong reader and, was very grateful for the career I had in my different positions. It's kind of funny. My husband worked for a company for like 45 years. In my generation of technology, 5 years was kind of the norm. So, you kind of jump jobs and what have you. And I got to a position where we were very blessed, had some great sales years, if you will, and got to a place where, I could kind of say, okay, now what are we really going to do? My husband had retired and, I thought, well, if it's time to make a change, I think this is it. And we were just very blessed that we had the wherewithal and the means to do that. And I decided in 2016, I started writing, and it was the end of Downton Abbey season 6. I had nothing to watch on Sunday evenings anymore. So I was like, oh no.
Wow.
So I decided to start my own little kingdom with The Crown for Castlewood Manor was my first book. So
that is awesome. I love that inspirational story, the kind of what sets you on your trajectory to writing. So that's really a fun story. Were you at all fearful about this new journey, excited, or both?
Both, I guess, but it was kind of interesting. I mean, I knew nothing really about the publishing industry or the writing industry. And so this was, in addition to me, writing the book, I was also trying to come up to speed on, okay, what's it going to take? What do I need to do? Who do I need to contact? Because I literally started from ground zero. Yeah. I had absolutely, really no idea of all the steps involved or who I needed to, get involved with. I also had no social media presence. So, I mean, I had to start Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And I'm like, what do I do? So I was a real newbie from that perspective. And I don't, if you have the time, I would encourage you, and you even think that you might want to get into writing, start looking at things a little bit earlier than I did, because I had to kind of do everything all at once. And that's a challenge. And I'm still learning, 4 years into this now. So it's amazing.
Well, here's the thing. You're so accustomed to transition. Being in the field of technology, there's so much transition and so much change that, again, like social media, it's changing. It's forever changing. And there's so much transition there. But as you said, that jump was pretty interesting because you had to figure out how to pitch, how to query, how to, if you were going to self-publish, all of it on top of social media. And that's a lot to juggle. Yeah, and we do our own marketing, right? So as business owners, you are a business owner as an author. As a business owner, you're marketing, you're coming up with graphics, you're trying to design, you're trying to do all these various things. That's a lot of juggling.
Yeah. So. And like I said, it's not the preferred way that I would recommend. So like I said, if you have even an inkling, or sparkle in your eye that you might want to do this, get started now doing all the different steps. So
it's certainly courageous of you to just jump right in.
Well, I've also been very lucky that I've been able to network with some fantastic people to help me, with the editing process and the publishing process and what have you. And that has been a godsend.
Yeah. So. And I think you've made a really good point here. And it's something that I talk about all the time during my lives and different things is creating relationships.
Yes.
And creating those relationships, however, social media, person, going to seminars and such, digital, virtual seminars. These relationships are so important because one, you get to nurture those friendships, build those friendships, learn from one another, and then also support one another in community. So it feels really good. Plus you make meaningful relationships and you learn new things as well.
No, exactly. I mean, as you mentioned, this is a business.
Yes.
And just like in any business field that you go into, I mean, the whole networking is, probably 99% of your job as it boils down to it, because you need to learn, even if you're a genius and have great ideas and what have you, you need to learn how to pitch them, mold them, present them,
Absolutely.
And XXX down the line there. And, you can't do it by yourself. There's just no way. So,
yeah, absolutely. You are so right about that. So you talked a bit about this, but what was your big why for delving into writing? And what was your big goal? What's the big goal for you?
Well, it was, first of all, kind of a personal challenge. I had always kind of tinkered with the idea of writing a book. Throughout my entire life, I'm an avid reader and have always loved mystery genres. And so when I had to decide, I was actually deciding, should I go get another degree? I do have a few college degrees. I'm a collector. I know it's a strange thing. It's a nerdy
No, I love it. No, if I could be a student forever, I probably would. So, yeah.
So I was actually deciding, should I go back to school or, should I, try this writing thing, let's do it. And seriously, I mean, it was that I still remember that evening of the end of season 6 of Downton Abbey, and I just sat on my couch and I'm like, what am I going to do, here? Because I really love all of the British mystery and the manor houses and the finery and what have you. And that really pushed me over the edge. And it was just kind of that culmination where, if I don't try it now, I'm probably not going to do it. And so I just made an effort. And the amazing thing is, like I said, I started writing in 2016, published the first book in 2017, and I'm now 9+ books in, that
is
I've
amazing.
written, are co-written and published. And that's pretty amazing,
That
very
is
amazing.
darn amazing. It absolutely is. And you're so right. It's interesting what prompts us to do what we do. And I think that story of what prompted you to start writing and, that season 6 ending of Downton Abbey, because being an avid watcher of that show as well, I can tell you, I felt a loss. Like I was losing my family. It was so weird.
Right.
I spent 6 years with these people. Right.
Exactly.
So
but how wonderful that everything for me anyway, it all kind of culminated in and pushed me to make this leap, because like I said, I was at a decision point and really deciding, grappling, what am I going to do here now? Because I didn't just want to sit around, being retired and what have you. I always try to learn new things, try new things. And I'm just so grateful that for me, writing one out over another degree. So
yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing. You're young. And so why not do something you're passionate about? And you knew you were always an avid reader, but it was that one thing that kind of sparked that whole idea for you, and you jumped. And that's really cool, because there are some people who jump right into it and are very courageous. Some people go into it with a bit of a strategy, and then some people have to have a concrete plan. But as well as I do, that those plans are ever changing. And you have to be moldable and adaptable to that change, because we grow that way, right? So, and you have grown quite a bit, learning all the things that you've learned, but also bringing all that gained wisdom and those transferable skills that you could actually apply to some of the stuff that you're doing now, like your writing, like the technical aspects, like marketing, like all of those things, sales, pitching, you name it, you're learning how to do it. And you've had some of those skills already that you're bringing forward with you. So it's not like you're completely starting over, but you're just kind of pivoting. I know that word's overused, but you're kind of shifting and doing something a bit different that you're passionate about.
Right, exactly.
That really comes through. And I love that. So let's jump into talking about your genre of books, the cozy British mystery. Tell us more about the genre and why this sparks your creativity.
Well, the first thing that, I'm always charmed when I'm reading a story and, you stumble over a body and the first thing they say is, fancy a cocktail? Or should we have tea?
No, let's not talk about the murder. Let's talk about having a divine cocktail or a cup of tea.
Yeah. And it's just, to me, that was always, I don't know. I mean, it's just the charm. And I don't mean to, murder's a very serious subject, so I don't want to do that. But for the cozy mystery genre, to me, it's, you have the violence, there's no doubt, but it's very muted. It's after the fact type violence, so you don't get into, active, murderous situations or anything like that. So it's more after the fact, but I think it's the charm of having people talk and just kind of imagining in your head, okay, what would I do if, I open the door and there's like a body laying in the library, I mean, and especially when you have a cadre of characters too, I have the main character Gemma in my story, but she has all kinds of friends and family around her. And so you have to kind of, you're having this internal conversation in your head. Okay. How's Gemma going to react? How's Kyle going to react? That kind of thing, and how are you going to portray, the shock, the surprise, and all kinds of things, all the emotional aspects to your reader audience. And, that's the creative challenge, I guess, that all writers have, is figuring out that scene, but then how to communicate it.
Oh, absolutely. Putting together that puzzle. And I love how you describe this genre too. There's not a lot of gratuitous violence in there. And, there's that that overlay of that British sophistication and that humor, and it's almost like this facade, like, oh, nothing's happening. No,
Yeah.
I don't see that body right there. Let's just have a cup of tea, and then we'll get into that maybe later.
Yeah.
So
well, and I do, my characters are very blessed. I mean, they live in basically a castle. It's Cherrywood Hall. And to me, though, I mean, that was my quote unquote Downton Abbey / Highclere Castle environment that I wanted to tell my stories in. And I love fashion and food and cocktails. And so guess what? My characters, Gemma loves to eat, and we are known to, have a tipple every now and then at the bars. But it's just, I try to take the experiences and the things that I love and infuse those into the story and into the characters, I guess.
Well, I love how you bring that together and how that just develops so well. So let's go on to my next question, which is, you've also written in the horror genre and just won a couple of Firebird Book Awards for Tangled Webs, which you co-authored, this haunted series, and Double Trouble. So congratulations. This is absolutely awesome. Tell us about these two books.
Well, actually, there's three, because I won also for Twins in the City. So this was a end of 2021. I talked with with Bibiana Krall, who's my co-author for Tangled Webs, but there was this Firebird Book Award contest, and you could enter in multiple genres and what have you, depending on where your book fit. And so I took a gamble, and just so blessed. This is a wonderful book contest for any writer if you're considering entering something, because your fees for the contest actually go to help homeless women and children. They actually make custom pillowcases, just something at night when you lay your head, on the pillow. You have a custom pillowcase that just has special messages and has been handmade with love for you. And, it may seem like a simple thing, but to me, that just won over my heart. And I thought, hey, this is a great charitable cause, and why not do it? So it was New Year's Eve, and we entered, and voila, yes. So we're very excited.
That is so awesome. Well, congratulations. How exciting. So I think you mentioned, my next question was, how many books have you written and published to date? Is it 9?
Yes. So the ones with Bibiana, and then I had a few others that I contributed, stories or recipes to. So a few more on the count there. I have 3 books planned for release this year. So there will be another cozy story for my, in fact, I just did the cover reveal today for book 7, which is Blood on the Vines. So it's another Gemma story at Cherrywood Hall. Wow. And then Bibiana and I have book 3 in our haunted series. And so that forces me to kind of shift gears. I'm going from cozy mystery to more paranormal, horror, mystery, supernatural kind of things. Yeah. But those are short stories, but, totally different, but I just totally enjoy that. And it's really stretched me as a writer. And in particular too, working with Bibiana, it's different from, this isn't just my book, it's one co-authored with her. And so luckily we have developed a really stellar working relationship, and that's the most important thing. But we're really looking forward to that. And then I'll have another Christmas mystery short stories too.
Ooh, so you have so much going on, and I love the haunted series that you and Bibiana have created. The creativity, the curiosity, the short stories that surprise you and have so much detail, and they're really fun. And I really can see this just being a series, like a Netflix series or a Hulu series. It's so much fun.
Well, we would truly love that to happen. And, I think the stories are different. I grew up with like Twilight Zone or, watching like Stephen King's Creep Show, that kind of thing. And my take on it, sometimes I do a little quirky humor for mine. Bibiana is more, true kind of haunted ghosts, and, she really captures the haunting aspects of it, I guess. I throw in a little comic relief every now and then, but it's just something that hopefully we hope to develop it and go to other platforms. And that would be awesome. Just awesome. So
I love it. I love those books. They're a lot of fun to read. And I love the way that you write, Veronica. It's absolutely engaging. So I like the humor that you bring to your story. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So what was your favorite book to write and why?
Ooh, boy, that's a tough one, just because I think in each story I have different elements that just really, I guess, resonate with me at the time. But I think in the Cozy series, the fourth book is Mistletoe and Mayhem, Yuletide at Castlewood Manor. And I picked that just because in that book, I actually transition Gemma, my main character. She takes on a different role in the series than we started out with. And, she also has some very major personal changes in her personal life. And so to me, it's, you have like the wrap of Christmas and, all the festivities, but then major family dramatics going on and all the murder most foul kind of things happening and what have you. But I think it was because Gemma took on a new role in her family and it's really changed the series. I mean, the books after book 4 are, very different, just because of the personal changes and the business changes that occurred, I guess, with that character. So that one I'm very proud of. And, it was a risk, because you kind of get going in a series and then, okay, should I do this? But I decided, I'm going to take a leap, and this is fiction. So I don't want people to get too caught up and, that can't really happen or what have you.
Right.
I just think it was an important change for me. And sometimes you've got to make those decisions, particularly in a series, in terms of should we change directions a little bit too. So.
Right. Well, and it's interesting that you say that, because if you go back to the show Downton Abbey, you'll see that they had to change and had to grow because of the decades changing, right?
Yep,
and
exactly.
Wartime or the 20s and the 30s and the 40s and on and on and on. And yet you make those tough decisions as a writer, and you're like, I have this demographic that follows me. Are they going to appreciate these changes? But the changes are reflective of either decades, genres, things happening in life. And we all go through that, right?
Right.
So it's kind of, it parallels things that we have to do in life. Things change. So.
Well, I'm really proud of, this character Gemma too, because taking on some of her new roles and responsibilities, it's really made her grow as a person too, which I think you need to evolve your characters over time, and, she certainly has her hands full now. Anyway, she's doing well. I'm very proud of her.
Good. Well, thank you for that. Now we've covered quite a bit here. You have such an amazing journey, Veronica. So we're going to wrap this up with my last question. If you were to leave the listeners with some words of wisdom today, what would they be?
I think my main advice, and this is just my personal reflections, but if you have a desire or a goal or just an aspiration that you want to achieve, do it. And you don't have to achieve it instantaneously overnight, but take the baby steps to help you move forward to those things that you really want. I think the one thing I've learned, particularly from the last few years during the pandemic and lockdowns, now is your time, because you may not be given a tomorrow. And if that point was really driven home to me, I think living through these past few years, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Like you said, I was 60 years old when I published my first book. And I can't even tell you how many reinventions of careers and stuff I've gone through. But the main thing is focus and just keep doing it. Take the baby steps, invest in yourself. That is the best investment that you can make.
Well, thank you, Veronica, for joining me on the Core Women podcast today.
Well, it's just been fabulous, Dr. Summer. I love your podcast and love you. It's been a pleasure to work with you too. So
thank you. Thank you so much. You can connect with Veronica Cline Barton on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and at veronicaclinebarton.com. You can also purchase Veronica's books on Amazon and other retailers.
Thank you for joining us on the Core Women podcast with Dr. Summer Watson. We're so glad you're here and would love to connect more with you. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Core Women, and on Twitter at Core Women 1. For more about Core Women and Dr. Watson, visit corewomen.com. Want more support and resources for amazing women like you? Great! Join Dr. Watson and Jen Fontanilla at the Life, Love, and Money Collective, a Core Women production that aids in understanding the key traits that might be getting in the way of living a life that you are absolutely passionate about. Connect with Summer and Jen and find out more at thelifeloveandmoney.com.